How do courts decide who gets what in a divorce? Let's talk about how matrimonial assets are divided in Singapore. Matrimonial assets include property, CPF, savings, investments, and even businesses acquired during the marriage. Assets bought before the marriage can also qualify if they've been substantially improved during the marriage or used by the family, such as a home or car. However, inheritance or gifts from third parties are excluded unless they've been significantly enhanced during the marriage. When dividing assets, the court considers several factors: each spouse's financial contributions, non-financial efforts like childcare or household management, the needs of any children, and existing prenuptial agreements. For instance, a homemaker who gave up their career to care for children may receive more credit for their indirect contributions. The court can also issue various orders, including selling assets, transferring ownership, or even granting one spouse exclusive rights to the matrimonial house. The aim is fairness, ensuring both parties get a fair share based on their contributions to the marriage. Are gifts safe from division in a divorce? Well, it depends on the circumstances. Let me explain. Gifts exchanged between spouses during the marriage can be considered matrimonial assets, especially if they've been purchased using marital funds. For example, a piece of jewelry bought with a salary bonus could be subject to division. However, gifts or inheritance from third parties are generally excluded unless they've been significantly improved during the marriage. If a spouse inherits a car and later gifts it to their partner, it remains a non-matrimonial asset unless major changes were made. On the other hand, lottery winnings are considered matrimonial assets because they are not gifts or inheritance, especially if they've been used for family purpose like paying off the home loan. The court examines the nature, source, and improvement of gifts to determine whether they should be divided. This ensures fairness while respecting the intent behind the gift or inheritance. How are matrimonial assets divided in a dual income marriage? The Singapore courts use something called the structured approach, also known as the ANJ framework. This process has 3 steps. Number 1, direct contributions. First, the court calculates each spouse's financial contributions towards acquiring or improving the assets, such as paying for the house or investment. Number 2, indirect contributions. Next, the court looks at non-financial contributions such as childcare, household management, or supporting a spouse's career. Indirect financial support is also included. Number 3, the final ratio. Finally, the court averages these 2 ratios to determine each spouse's share. Depending on the case, the court might assign more weight to one type of contribution, for example, valuing caregiving more in a long marriage with children. This method is particularly effective in dual income marriages where both spouses contribute financially. It balances fairness by considering both the monetary as well as the non-monetary contributions to the marriage. How does the court handle asset division in a single income marriage? Let's break it down. In a long single income marriage, the courts often favor a near equal division of assets, recognizing the significant contributions of a stay-at-home spouse. These include childcare, managing the household, as well as supporting the working spouse's career. For mid-length marriages, asset division may lean more toward the earning spouse. For instance, in a 12-year marriage, the wife receives 35% of the assets, typically because although she managed family care, the husband contributed solely financially and they may have lived overseas for work. Transparency is critical. If one spouse suspects hidden assets, they can always request for something called discovery. This compels full disclosure of the information. This ensures fairness for non-earning spouses who may otherwise be at a disadvantage. Think your spouse is hiding assets during a divorce? The court's discovery and interrogatories process can help you uncover the truth. Discovery allows you to request for specific documents such as bank statements, tax returns, or property deeds to trace assets. Meanwhile, interrogatories are targeted questions designed to investigate suspicious transactions or hidden wealth. In one case, a wife proved her husband had concealed $4 million by presenting bank statements. The court then awarded her a share of the hidden wealth and reduced the husband's portion of the known assets. Discovery and interrogatories hold spouses accountable for financial transparency, ensuring that all assets, hidden or otherwise, are always considered in the divorce settlement. What happens to your HDB flat in a divorce? Here's what you need to know. HDB flats are often classified as matrimonial assets if they've been purchased during the marriage or substantially improved by both spouses. Even if owned before marriage, a flat may be divided if it was used as the family home or improved during the marriage. If one spouse wants to keep the flat, they must meet HDB eligibility requirements such as being over 35 and meeting the income ceiling. If the flat needs to be sold, the couple must then have completed the minimum occupation period or MOP, which is typically 5 years but can sometimes be longer. If the MOP isn't met, the flat may then have to be surrendered. These regulations ensure fair asset division while complying with HDB policies. Did you know CPF savings can also be divided in a divorce? Here's how it's done in Singapore. CPF funds used to buy the matrimonial home or accumulated during the marriage are also considered matrimonial assets. The court can issue two types of orders. Number one, a transfer order. This allows a direct transfer of CPF savings to the other spouse. Number two, charging orders. This gives the receiving spouse a share in cash when the paying spouse becomes eligible to withdraw their CPF funds. Payments depend on CPF rules, such as setting aside the retirement sum first. These measures ensure CPF savings are divided fairly, balancing retirement needs and contributions to the marriage. What is a court order in a divorce and why does it actually matter? Let's break it down. A court order is a legally binding document outlining decisions made during divorce proceedings. It covers critical areas like child custody and access, maintenance payments, and asset division. For example, a maintenance order might require monthly child support payments, or a transfer order could mandate property ownership changes. Some orders, called consent orders, reflect terms agreed upon by both parties and approved by the court. Once issued, both parties must then follow the order exactly. Breaches can, however, sometimes happen, such as refusing to allow child access, failing to pay maintenance, or not even transferring assets as required. These breaches might be deliberate due to financial difficulties or because of unclear wording in the order. Courts take breaches very seriously, but also consider the reasons behind them. If circumstances change, a party can request for a variation to ensure the order remains fair and practical. Ultimately, court orders are not just rules, they are also vital tools for ensuring fairness and protecting everyone's rights after a divorce.